this video, I'll be showing you the journey of one of the commissions that I recently painted, all the way from me receiving the initial reference images from the client to me dropping off the final painting at the post office. And I must say, this commission was not an easy, straightforward one. It had its ups and downs, and without further ado, let's get into it.
The first thing that I do when I receive photos from a client is to print off the one that I'm going to use as my reference. I may only be sent one photo, but most of the time I get sent through a selection, so I get to choose which one I think is going to make the best painting. Because this is a commission, I'm not going to reveal the name of the dog, but the brief was to have the composition of the painting similar to the image on the left hand side, but with the colourings of the image on the right hand side. So the client said that he really loved the way that the dog was sitting in this image. The dog used to sit like it all the time, so it really meant a lot to them. I then took a bit of artistic license and decided to combine the two images together, which didn't pay off, which you'll find out in a bit. But I then drew a grid onto the image. I always use a grid to draw out onto canvas. I am very much aware that any kind of portraiture, human or animal, needs to have a very accurate likeness. And using the grid method gives me confidence that I'm getting it right majority of the time. Once I finish priming my canvas, I then sketch out and I do the underpainting. When it gets to this point, I always then send a photo of the underpainting to the client just to check if they're happy with the composition. And in this instance, the feedback I got was great and they were confident that the painting was going to be good. But they did ask if I could keep the composition exactly the same as the image where the dog is facing to the side. And I said this wasn't a problem. They were quite worried that I'd already spent a lot of time on it. But I wanted to make sure that it was right. I wanted to give them a painting that they were happy with. So I went back to the drawing board and started again. Re-sketched onto the canvas. I actually think this looks a lot better than the initial one that I did. I just prefer the composition, and I think it's going to make a really, really nice painting because we're going to have a lot of lights next to dark. So this area here under around his collar is dark, and I'm going to make this area light, so that's going to pop out really, really nicely. And I also think down here we're going to have a nice dark light area, so it should make a really nice composition. Let's get cracking now on the acrylic underpainting. The lighting's got awful in here. It's a really overcast day today and I'm still trying to hold off putting any artificial lighting on. I'm still just trying to use the natural light coming through my window. I've just put in the collar, so this wasn't actually in the reference image, but the client sent me a separate photo and asked for the rainbow collar to be painted in, which I think is a great idea because it really adds a nice pop of colour. Really happy with how it is looking at the moment. I think I'm going to work on a different painting. Yeah, I do like to leave a painting where I'm at a point where I'm happy with how it's progressing. So I'm gonna take a quick break and, well, I say break, I'm still gonna keep painting, but just on a different painting. I just received some new oil paint colours. I've got 3 from Cobra, and it's the water mixable oil colour. I've got yellow ochre, burnt sienna and Naples yellow. These 3 are great colours if you also do pet portraits or animal portraits. I use these all the time. It's been done with the 3 primary colours, a blue, red and a yellow, and also transparent oxide and burnt umber. So at the moment it's just those 5 colours, and now I'm going to introduce some of these as well. It's nearly there, I've just got a few bits to do. Progress the past couple of days. I haven't solidly worked on this portrait. I have been doing some other paintings, but I'm really at a point now where I'm starting to feel happy with the portrait. I did have a little wobble yesterday. I started feeling like the painting was going really badly and it was never gonna work out, and I was kind of thinking, oh, I'm going to have to email the client and let them know that I'm not going to be able to do the painting for them. But I did not want to do that. I never wanted to let anyone down, so I persevered. And I kind of feel like this process happens to me during most commissions. I don't really get the same feelings when I'm doing a painting for myself or I'm doing a painting for fun, because there's not as much, I think pressure is the wrong word to use here, but you have someone that's paying you to produce a painting that means so much to them, especially when it's a memorial portrait. So yeah, you've always got that in the back of your mind, and you just want to produce something that's really, really good for them that they're going to love. Anyway, I persevered through, and as I said, I am happy with the progress. At this point, I sent a photo of the painting to the client. I do always offer progress photos if the client wants this. Some prefer to wait until the end and get a surprise. Others like to have progress photos throughout the piece. So at this point, I sent a photo, and the feedback I got was really, really good. They loved the painting. At this point, I asked the client if there are any final changes, anything to add or take away or to amend slightly, and they did come back and say there was one slight change they wanted, and that was for the eye to be looking down to create more of a softer look. I had it so it was kind of looking out of the painting toward the viewer, but they wanted it so it was looking down a bit more, which was fine. That's a fairly simple change to make. I got an email from the client the following morning to say that they were considering having the painting framed. So I do offer frames. They come in black, white and natural wood, and they're all float frames. The client did originally say that they didn't want it to be framed, but I said that I could frame the painting if they wished at this point, and I think they are keen to go ahead with this. So I don't have a frame of this size ready in my studio. I am going to have to order one, and they do take up to 2 weeks to arrive because they're all made to order. So I don't think I'm going to be able to include that in this video, but I should be able to in my next one, which is going to be a studio vlog. So if you're keen to see the painting finished and framed, then please stick around for that vlog. I'm so sorry I didn't get to include it in this video, but I guess this is just one of the things that can happen if you do commissions. You have to be quite adaptable to any minor changes that the client wants.